Hi there, Ramon from Memories, and today we have. Oh, you
I'm
go
Angela.
Yeah.
You're gonna say it. Okay.
All right, so I'll just start again. Hi there. My name is Ramon from Memories, and today we
I'm Angela.
have. Hi, Angela. And how long have you been a caregiver?
I have been a caregiver now for my mom about 3 years.
And what was the initial experience of the diagnosis like for you?
Well, she was misdiagnosed to begin with the TIA strokes. And so taking my mom, I had to move her here from Missouri. I just thinking she had these little strokes. We didn't think she was going to start declining so rapidly as she has. After she moved here to Atlanta from Missouri, we got her to um, a neuro clinic, and then they said these aren't strokes. They did all of the MRIs, and they said that it's the frontotemporal dementia, and yeah, that it's degenerative, and because she was declining already. So it was really hard.
For sure. And I guess what signs kind of led you to start pursuing medical attention when what did you first start to notice?
The first thing that I noticed that was obvious was her aphasia. She started. That's why I think we thought she had, little strokes, and that's maybe what the doctor thought too. Is that she would start to, she was saying things very scrambled. She would say things like, chicken instead of kitchen, and um, just things were starting to come out wrong, and that was, we thought, just the sign of like maybe strokes, and that she was kind of slowing down, where she wasn't able to do things like multitask anymore like she used to do. My mom has always been super hands-on and able to juggle things, and it wasn't, I started to see that that wasn't something she was able to do.
For sure, for sure. And I guess emotionally, what were the early stages like for you and your family?
I emotionally, yeah, I guess because it seemed like it happened only a little at a time, I was like, well, this is something we can target. I mean, it hurts seeing my mom, go through it, but I thought it was something that could be fixed. Um, it didn't really hit me emotionally until I really knew what it was. Yeah.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah, it's hard.
And I guess how have you had to adjust, or how has your life changed since the diagnosis now that you are a caregiver?
It's honestly, it has like flipped my life upside down. It changed everything. Knowing what we know now, especially now during COVID, um, she has declined so quickly that it's almost like I'm the mom. Um, I don't have kids, so I started basically taking care of her. Like there's very so much childlike things that happen. It's almost very often like um, she has only elements. I mean, she's definitely got her personality that she used to, but she's not like the same mom that I had growing up. So it's like kind of getting adjusted to another person, really. So it's emotionally really difficult.
For sure, for sure. And I guess that is a very hard experience to go through because I mean this is like a role model to you. This is someone who raised you and someone you've looked up to for a very, very long time. So I guess how do you cope with that kind of emotional trauma of seeing them transition in this way?
Um, well, in all honesty, I didn't cope, and I don't cope very well. It's having like, you just gotta like breathe, have patience. Having patience sometimes is the most difficult thing, when every single task can sometimes be difficult, from washing dishes to putting on clothes to like just different things. But honestly, therapy. I never knew I was gonna truly just need therapy just about this. I didn't think it was gonna be so difficult.
For sure, for sure. And I guess, was there initial resistance? Because we found from a lot of caregiver interviews so far that sometimes caregivers suffer in silence. You know, these are not things you expect to talk about. These are not things you feel comfortable talking about, or these are not things you feel like you need to talk about. So I guess, what advice do you have to people who might be feeling that they're suffering alone? How do you encourage them to open up and really start discussing the difficulties?
I'm really still on the path of trying to do this for myself, to try to get therapy all the time, but I've had to reach out to Facebook groups that just deal with frontotemporal dementia, seeing that, other people are dealing with this just as much as I am, seeing what they post just makes me feel like there is a community of people that understand what I'm going through. Sometimes it can be a little like heavy because I'm everybody on there is going through something very difficult that they're posting at the time. So sometimes I have to even pull away from that, but just to at least see what other people are going through on there. I joined the Emory dementia group, where I actually had been meeting them in person before COVID. I haven't joined the Zoom meetings recently, but having those groups are really important. Finding the local chapters, the Alzheimer's Institute, the Alzheimer's Association, honestly, was one of the biggest helping organizations I've ever spoken with. When the doctors gave me the initial diagnosis of the frontotemporal dementia, they're like, yeah, you should probably call the Alzheimer's Association. And I was just like, why do I need to call this hotline? This is just, it didn't seem like there was a lot that they were going to be able to do for me, but they're actually super proactive about getting somebody out here and, you know, assessing the situation, making sure that like you have social workers and people on your side. They stayed on the phone with me for almost a good 40 minutes, I think, my first time, or more, just to see what was going on.
Sure, for sure. And I think it's great that all these resources exist, and it's important that caregivers access those resources. And I think I kind of want to dive into social media a little, because especially during a global pandemic, finding people to relate to, finding people who are going through what you're going through can be really difficult because of social distancing and stuff. So what role has social media played in your caregiving experience so far? I guess both Facebook and Instagram.
I'm pretty new with my social media page for my mom. I really only started the page to kind of grow awareness for her situation. And ultimately, in the end, I want her to have like a little, maybe a possible foundation or a little charity, because it's just me. And I'm going to want to put her in a situation where she's very safe with people all around her. And so I'm hoping that, the platform, the social media platform has been really nice to see like other people that are doing the same thing. I felt guilty about starting a social media page for her, in all honesty, because it's not something she understands. But I'm hoping that not only will it help develop community of maybe hopefully people in Atlanta, or, people that are reaching out to me, that we're speaking to each other, about the aphasia, about the dementia, about all these different things, also to grow awareness about her if I'm able to start some kind of little charity for her. I don't really love social media, to be quite honest, but I do like that it has helped develop a little bit of a community for our specific situation. I've already had people reach out to me to maybe possibly assess her in speech therapy. I've had people reach out to see if they can do like a make her a mile marker for their Alzheimer's goal. I guess they're like a running, like what am I trying to think of? What's the word? Like a marathon that they're doing just for Alzheimer's, and everybody has like their mile marker, just different. So I've had different people reach out to me, different caregivers. It's been kind of cool so far.
That's awesome. And I guess my next question would be, now that you've been a caregiver for 3 years and you have had this extensive interaction with the community online, which has been great for support for you, what are some of the biggest misconceptions you think people have about caregivers or caregiving or dementia?
Did you say dementia is the last one? Misconceptions about caregiving. I don't know. I feel like there's misconceptions. Kind of rephrase it a little bit.
Um, okay, we can just take the conversation in like a different direction, I guess. What advice would you have to yourself 3 years ago or to a new caregiver about the experiences you're going to go through?
Oh shoot, man. I would have um, probably told myself to be a lot more patient with myself and to be a lot more patient with her. I had, like I've said, I had no idea how hard this was going to be, but also too, we didn't know exactly what it was. I wouldn't change the fact that I brought her here. I'm most definitely glad. Like I do want her in a safe and loving home when COVID is all over, because even the doctors say this is not something I can do by myself. But I do have help with other caregivers that come to my home while I'm gone. But I would probably say to just be more patient with myself and her, probably have started therapy from the beginning. That would have been nice. I think one of the most important things is to not delay on any kind of government paperwork that needs to be filled out. I think to me that's the most daunting of all of the pragmatic tasks around taking care of someone, is all of the paperwork. I probably, had I gotten things done the moment she got here, gotten all of the Medicaid and all of the paperwork done, I would have probably saved myself so much stress, or even hired somebody to help me with the paperwork. It's kind of difficult to do that because you have to deal with all social security numbers and things, but you've got to have help. I wish I had help in the beginning. It took me a really long time to get everything in place for fighting for her disability, to get the Medicaid waivers, to have people come to the home, things like that, to be better, like to know what to look for in hiring people, because I've had some really awful caregivers, just awful. That just, some people are just not meant for this job. And I think I just didn't, I was desperate for help and to know all the checklists, for hiring people.
For sure. I'm sure. Would you just be able to give me 1 second? I just have to do. Just give me 1 second. So sorry about the great. Hit record. Yeah, I think I kind of want to echo on some of the initial challenges you had with. Oh, can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to echo on some of the initial challenges you had with all the paperwork and getting everything organized, because we've heard from a lot of caregivers that there's kind of this dual role of being a loved one, but also being that primary caregiver. And those are two very different roles that caregivers have to take on when they become a caregiver. So I guess, how have you struggled with balancing those two different roles?
Balancing the pragmatics and the caregiver of a loved one. I don't know how to answer that. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, what I've done is not always healthy. I've been, I've taken care of her and pushed the pragmatic things under the carpet till I got to it, because it's just too much. It's too much at once. Um, with what I'm doing with her is hands-on. It takes a whole other, they're just so different. I think what I've usually tried to do is separate my social life. Like, I spend time with my boyfriend. That's my time for me, and like to keep building a relationship and having him, we have one day a week that we get to spend together. And then I have one day that I try to do mostly, the pragmatic stuff. Like today's Monday. Monday is like the day I try to get stuff done, call places. And then, she's with me 2 days a week. And then I go to work and I have the caregivers. I think I've had to separate my days so that I don't try to spend too much time doing everything, all at once on one day. So once I'm done with doing all my pragmatic stuff today, then I'll spend as much time with her as I can, and try to create some outings, even though with COVID, there's not a lot we can do. I think it's more I've had to separate and, compartmentalize the things the way I do these things, because it's hard for me to juggle them. I get really distracted. Even with all of this, it's easy to feel fragmented, and I have to prioritize the way I do stuff. If that makes any sense.
No, for sure, for sure. And I think it's important because, looking after a loved one, you're only going to be able to do that to the best of your ability if you're the best version of yourself. And in order to be the best version of yourself, you have to invest time in yourself and do things that you love and spend time with people outside of your caregiving role. So I guess my next question would be, what advice do you have to people who are struggling to find that balance the way you initially struggled?
Honestly, I don't have good advice. I feel like just getting help. I'm alone, so maybe having, if you can, like sparing, if you have a little extra, ability to hire somebody to do some of the things that you can't do yourself, like, it's just trying not to juggle everything and ask for help when you can. That's really, I've had to ask for help more times than I like, that, I don't know if that's a good answer.
No, for sure. And I think asking for help is so key because, this is a big role and it really takes a village to do what you're doing. You can't do it alone, especially if you have a job, especially if you have a relationship, and you have other things in your life to balance. You can't manage all that alone. So asking for help is so, so, so important. I guess my next question to you would be about how has your life changed as a caregiver over the past few years? How do you maintain that balance?
My life has changed. It's almost like I feel like I've done with having her. I feel like I've honestly had to put my career on hold because it's not something I can do to put all of my focus on that. I feel like right now my focus has to be, it's like having a kid, even though she's a grown woman, but it's kind of like I have to be able to live my life and to be happy. I'm going to have to make sure that she's in a good place. And that's really my main focus right now, because I cannot move forward if I don't get her in the right place. Every aspect of my life has changed. My career, my hobbies, I've had to kind of put a few things on hold, with, my interests, and actually trying to bring her into like us having hobbies together, things that I think we could do together are more of my goals. honestly, my balance is not good with that. I feel like I have to focus on her mostly right now, or I'm not going to be able to move forward until I do that. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And it's challenging because you had a life, and then you had to bring your mom in from Missouri, and everything just changed so rapidly. And I think it's really admirable how you've been able to adapt and change your hobbies and change your schedule in order to accommodate and take care of your mother. And I kind of want to transition. I know you touched on the global pandemic a few times, and I think this last few months has been trying for everyone. We're all trying to get used to this new lifestyle, but I think caregivers already have so much to balance. They already have so much on their plate. So, how has the pandemic affected you and your family unit since, especially being a caregiver?
Ooh, the pandemic is hell. This is hell. This is hell for her, it affects me too. I honestly, I'm okay with being alone and having alone time. My mom and I are completely the opposite. Um, she thrives on social activities, being a social butterfly. She runs circles around me. I mean, all of my caregivers, they can barely keep up with her because all she ever does is, it's almost like she just wants to be super active. And the hardest thing about this for us is I wanted her when she came here to feel all she wanted were friends. Sorry, my little dog is trying to get up here. All she wanted was to have friends, a community, all of these things. And now it's like been just stolen from her. She's extremely depressed. Um, she cries all the time. She is declining faster. She's had accidents, not, I mean, like actual, personal care accidents. Um, the way she's eating a lot less. It's really hard because she's so depressed, so bored. She was going to a day a day program that she was really happy to be a part of, and she loved it there, and they loved her, and everything's closed down, and it's not even safe. I'd love for her to be in adult daycare. I just it's made it so difficult. We have to be so creative about activities. I've tried multiple things to see if I could get her interested in them. A lot of things she just does not want to do. Really, all my mom wants to do is be with people and just walk miles. Like, she's so physically active. And the problem, one of the things is, like, say if I was to take her to a hiking trail or this or that, she lacks a lot of social boundaries. So she might want to hold people or hug them or kiss them. She's kissed people on the lips before. Um, and she can't wear a mask. The moment you put it on her, she pulls it off. I basically, it's made things impossible for us to take her to any kind of social situation with the pandemic. She has lung disease and she just got over cancer last year. And I take her to a restaurant and we'll sit on the patio where nobody's sitting. I literally call ahead of time, make sure that people are, like, the waiters are wearing a mask. And I just Lysol everything before we sit down, just so that she could see people walk by and hopefully have, like, something that seems like normal. It feels like it's destroyed our life. And even the doctors over here. Hmm? What are you looking for? She's going in and out of the house. She's restless. The doctors have said that a lot of people have declined in quarantine. Like, they just see that, things that they'd never have done before, they're doing now. So And this is exactly, that's our situation.
For sure. And I just want to extend my condolences. I'm really sorry to hear that this has been such a trying time for you. But and I think it's really challenging because you have to balance the mental health of her wanting to go out and wanting to socialize, but also her safety because of the risks that you guys can be exposing yourselves to. And I think it's admirable that you've tried multiple strategies, but and I hope that something will work. Um, I guess.
Yeah, like right now, like, I mean, not to interrupt you, but so I had to also come to terms with the fact that I can't chase her, because all I'll do is, like, she's really agitated right now. I don't know what she's upset about because she can't speak clearly. She's lost all ability to to form sentences, but she's definitely highly agitated, and her restlessness makes her just want to just go outside and start walking. Well, and I have a GPS tracker on her right now that is really high tech. It's mostly I think marketed more towards autism, but I think that they now marketed a lot more towards, like, or more towards Alzheimer's and dementia, and yeah, it tells me where she is all the time. So I can't. In the beginning, it was driving me crazy. I was trying to chase her every day, and it was destroying our relationship. Now, as long as I know that where she is and she's safe, and exactly, like, I can just go and meet up with her, then yeah. What are you doing? Sorry.
Sure. No, no worries, no worries at all. Um, I guess my last question to you would be, um, for anyone who's watching right now and really struggling with keeping a level head when things get really difficult, and they may say things that are not very nice, or they may do things that are really frustrating. How do you calm yourself down and proceed in the situation?
It is hard. Because yeah, you can get screamed at. Oh God, I think for me, I have to constantly remember the images from the MRI. I think about all of the dark spaces in her brain, and you've got to walk away. Because sometimes I just feel so guilty. It can really be so horrible. You feel so guilty because you get so mad, and you just have to walk away and breathe and come back to it. Unless they've got, she's put herself in, like, a dangerous situation. But you just have to, like, I have to constantly remind myself, like, her brain has atrophied, basically. So this isn't, whatever she's going through in that moment isn't, she's not in her right thinking.
Especially when things do escalate and things become really challenging and frustrating in those
Thank you.
moments.
It paused.
Oh, so can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, so sorry about that. Especially when things do become escalated and really challenging in those moments, it can be very hard to step out and breathe and remind yourself of what the person's currently going through. And I think it takes a lot of character to be able to do that, and I don't think it necessarily comes easily. So I really have a lot of respect for you for being able to remove yourself from the situation and react in that way.
Yeah. I wish I was really just like, I wish that part was easier. That's really heavy. Especially when it just seems like, at times it's just, she's just like she's so helpless, but then sometimes it's like she snaps into this, when she's angry. um it can feel very hurtful, and I need to just make sure to always walk away and do something else.
Sure, for sure. I just want to thank you again for sitting down with us today and sharing your story. We really, really appreciate it. And we hope that there's someone out there watching who may be going through a similar experience, maybe going through a difficult time, and can learn from your experience and what you've gone through. And I know you're super active about sharing your journey on social media. So if anyone watching wants to learn more about your journey with your mom, where can they find you?
Well, her page is just Anna's Flower Power. You know, Anna Banana.
Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. So Anna Banana, if you want to go learn more about Angela and her mom and their journey together. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time on Memories Caregiver Spotlight.